Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Music Therapy and Motivation. I am your host, Gino Black. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I am honored. I got a special guest for us tonight. This gentleman has made significant contributions in my hometown, Cincinnati, Ohio. Music, entertainment. He is just a motivational force. He is involved with the community there. Everybody loves him. And we want to sit down and talk to him. You know, I haven't seen this brother in so long. So I just reached out on social media. And I said, hey, come on the podcast. Let's chop it up. I'm here. This is Gino Black, everybody, Music Therapy and Motivation. I have a special guest today. This gentleman's name is Butch Gibson. He is a founder, in my opinion, a founder and a pioneer in the Cincinnati hip-hop music scene. He is a DJ. He is a motivational force. I believe he works in the education system. Look, let's just get into it. Butch Gibson, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
Thanks for having me. It is an honor and an esteemed pleasure to be chopping it up with Power Blast Worldwide.
Indeed, man. It's been a while. It's been a while, a long while.
Yeah. You ski-daddled up out of here.
I had to. I had to elevate, man. I had to elevate.
I heard some episodes. I did.
Episodes.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. It was heavy. It was heavy to me because it was unexpected. But let's talk about you, man. Let's talk about you. And if it slides into some other lanes along the way, we'll see what we can do. Tell the people, tell the listeners who you are and what you do.
My name is Butch Gibson. I've been around in this whole Cincinnati area for 40 plus years. In the music industry, sort of entertainment industry.
Right.
I have been DJing for a long time. I've been DJing since 1984.
Okay.
I have dabbled in most, if not all, of the local radio stations here. I did a little stint on WCIN. I interacted with folks on WBLZ when it was around.
I remember.
Yeah, and then I did a fairly long stint, 6 years at WAIF, what radio is meant to be, all volunteer operated community radio, and then another 6 years at WIZF, our local hip hop and R&B station, and then also just been kind of freelance, where mobile jock and worked in various capacities at some of the bigger festivals around town. Day and Eden Festival was where we got married. Juneteenth Festival when it was in Daniel Drake Park, and the Black Family Reunion, the Midwestern Regional Black Family Reunion celebration for the past 35 years. So I kind of been around. I normally work in the young adults pavilion. I am no longer a young adult.
I see you there. Gandalf the Grey.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No Shave November or whatever month this is.
Gotcha.
But I just been around, so it's good to be around too.
Gotcha. I mean? It's good to see you, bro. You look healthy. Laid eyes on you via Zoom. Laying eyes on you. You look healthy. I always see you in the mix on social media. What was the original inspiration that inspired you to want to be a DJ? I know that's a cliche question, but we got to ask.
Yeah. I think a lot of times in some of the situations that I wound up being in, just being young, being in parties and stuff like that, and just hearing the music play and seeing how people respond to it, it just made me want to be involved in some capacity. And I was never really a b-boy or anything like that, and never really got into graffiti, and not that I necessarily had to do a multiple choice of the elements of hip hop,
right? But
it seemed to be a low cost of admission to get involved.
Gotcha.
And like $20, and I bought a turntable.
Okay.
And the same is true in some respect today. It is a fairly low cost of admission, especially to get into the DJ kind of thing. But that was where I got some inspiration, and I guess from a Malcolm McLaren 12-inch single. I think it was Buffalo Gals.
Buffalo Gals were around the outside.
Yeah. And on that cover, there was a picture of this thing, and it was a GLI mixer. And that made me start questioning what is that thing? And then just hearing that song, and also just I'm all long-winded with it, but I will say one of my major inspirations might have been just an actual individual, which was Michael White, also known as DJ Silk.
DJ Silk.
Yep, he used to DJ at the club, just was walking distance. It was a bar, walking distance from my house.
Okay.
And I remember I just wanted to play music and record songs to play in my car. I wanted to have a nice cassette.
Right.
And so that kind of got me seeking out equipment.
Were you doing like the mixtapes, literal mixtapes back then?
I only did one, but
yeah,
I did one called the Audio Collage. But Silk was the one that actually, he didn't even understand my question. So if you got two channels, you got turntable here, turntable here, I wanted to know how you make those two records play together.
Right.
I didn't understand. He didn't understand my question, but eventually he told me it was a mixer.
Gotcha.
And once he gave me that information, then I went out and bought a mixer and just kind of went on from there.
Yeah, I think my first mixer was a Radio Shack mixer, something real dirty and cheap. I don't know if you remember this or not. You had touched on a couple of the stations you had worked at. I don't know if you remember this or not, but I originally met you when you were doing some work with the WAIF, 88.3 is it WAIF?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. You were doing some work there, but we met. It was a community meeting for something that was going on in the community. I think it was a couple of city councilors there or something going on, and we met. And I found out that you were a DJ. I gave you my first tape. It was prequel to the debut tape that I put out called Cincinnati. But it was one of the tracks that was on there, and you were the first DJ to play that song.
Oh, dig that!
Yeah,
and that sounds typical.
Yeah,
that sounds typical. Yeah.
You helped me break that tape. The song at the time was called "Holding Back," and it was one of the cuts on the 6-song tape that I put out. Right around the time of the Mapplethorpe controversy.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So I capitalized on it and called the tape Cincinnati and pushed it. Yeah. And that tape did well, man. But yeah, shouts outs to you for playing that. You played that on the radio. And everybody else got hit to it. You know, even in those odd time slots at that station, everybody was involved. So I like that. That was real community around that time.
Yeah, but, that was a real fight back then. Just I was hungry, eager, angry in some respect. So WIF is really what radio was meant to be. It's a you can just do your own thing over there.
Yeah.
And depending upon how much of your thing you want to do or how you work it, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
And I'll say this from WIF, my main show was 58 minutes. And if I remember correctly, 7 a.m. to 7:58. Yeah. And then we had to turn it off and there was a high school, WJVC, Joint Vocational School or whatever it was, Scarlet Oaks. And they would come on at 8 o'clock. And they actually squeezed in the time. Supposedly they would cut off at 7 and then be an hour off the air and then let this other station come on the same frequency. But when I put in my application, they squeezed it. They said, well, we don't really have to cut off an hour ahead of time. We just give them 2 minutes. So that allowed me to be in that time slot. And I worked that 58 minutes to death.
Yeah, I remember, man.
Hey, and let me say, from that 58-minute time slot, I got a gold record hanging on the wall at home. I got a platinum record hanging on the wall at home. We got involved with the Day in Eden, the Juneteenth Festival, and all the Black Family Union. All those things stem from being at 88. 58 minutes a week.
That's the grind, bro.
Yes, sir.
You had a vision and you executed it, and that's why you're so well loved and renowned in the city.
You're too kind, sir.
No, you are, man. You are. And then it's just, you've heard my conversations about the city. So we're gonna all right, let's get back to this.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the Midwest DJ Coalition and how you got involved with that.
Well, I have to pay homage to Chris Paul. Chris Paul made a post on his Facebook page many years ago. Wow, it's probably been over 10 years ago. And what he talked about is the kind of thing that happens in Cincinnati and maybe just all over, that you always have, and I just use this term loosely, you always have some $50 DJ somewhere that's going to try to undercut you,
undercut everybody,
talk about you, and say why he needs that $50 and that you don't need whatever you might be asking for, $55. He just want to undercut you and get the gig. And Chris Paul talked about that. He also talked about how the club owners and promoters will do the same thing, that they will slide over to the $50 DJ, like, hey man, I'm paying this much. Can you do it for this little?
Right.
And said part of the problem was communication, that we didn't have communication with each other. So he put together a meeting at Club Zero downtown in Cincinnati. I couldn't attend, but I sent a couple of people. And it's just kind of funny that over time things evolved and changed, and the organization kind of grew, and we had a little heyday. We got about 110 members all over Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, and the key was just that we communicate with each other. And things have kind of cooled off. I'd say cooled off quite a bit, but over the years it was a really powerful, and I say still is a powerful organization, just for the fact that we communicate with each other.
Right. So you guys kind of make it sure that it's sort of unionized, so that you all are charging kind of similar rates, so that any of the promoters or bookers can't undercut you guys. Is that how that worked? Or
not necessarily, because we have varied opinions on what to charge. And some folks are adamant and saying, man, y'all charge too much. I just love DJing, man. It's fun. I just want to play music.
Right.
And I mean, that's cool. But at least for me, I can't speak for everybody else. DJ Vader. DJ Vader just said a simple thing. Man, this equipment costs a lot of money. And as simple as that, like, let me kind of recoup on my investment.
Right. It does.
And in that respect, and then for me, like, I'm tired, man. I'm old. I'm about to be 60, man. You know, you gotta, I don't want to come out for $50. You know,
right.
like I'll just stay home. Right. I'll stay home, man. Stay home and drink a beer for $50, man. I'm cool.
$50 was 30 years ago. And that was even like maybe.
Yeah. And,
maybe
and now, but what the big thing is that at least we communicate. And that's the thing. So if you got a resident DJ at wherever XYZ club,
right,
and then the promoter goes to talk to DJ XYZ or whatever, that what I say, XYZ, ABC, Club ABC. Anyway, if you if you talk to a different DJ and say, hey, come over here at my club, then we get in a group like, hey, is somebody a resident DJ over there? Yeah, I am. Well, you know, the owner was over here in my ear trying to, and then you know, we have that communication. Yeah. Try to shut that down. And I mean, you know, it's a free market or whatever, so folks can do whatever they want. Buy low, sell high, or whatever. You know, whatever you got to do to make that profit. We understand that, but maybe just be upfront with it.
Yeah.
Maybe we need a contract for a term. You know, I'm going to DJ here for a year. You can't break that contract unless.
I think that should be done anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an engagement. That's a long-term engagement, but that should be done anyway. I never booked anything for anybody without contracts. I don't even care if it was a free show. We still had our rider, and we did what we had to do as far as those, because I just don't believe people's words all the time. I believe actions and behaviors. So that contract, and that goes into kind of the frustration with me, because I was strictly business back in the day. And everybody wasn't playing that. Didn't want to sign the paperwork. Didn't want to sign the contracts. Didn't want to learn how to do publishing and copyright. So you know that's that. Let's get back to it. Let's see. So in addition to that, you're involved with a couple of other groups too, right? Like DJ things, or no?
No. Yeah, that's the main one. There are some spinoffs from there. There's the well, of course, there's the cool kids. The cool kids are like if the Midwestern Disc Jockey Coalition is the umbrella, then under that umbrella there are other smaller umbrellas.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
That may encompass other DJs like Vader and DJ Guy West and Mike Drop and DJ Stank and oh man, I'm probably missing out somebody, because the cool kids are our army.
Okay.
And
Shout out to
they,
Guy West. Shout out to Guy West.
yeah, most def. And I used to work with Guy West
Okay.
doing tech support. I do tech support at Cincinnati Public Schools right now.
Okay. Gotcha.
But the cool kids are really one of the major groups that may be under the Midwestern Disc Jockey Coalition,
Gotcha.
and that may not be fair to say,
Hmm.
just in the sense that we're all part of the Midwestern Disc Jockey Coalition, but we all got our own thing.
Hmm.
So the cool kids is its own entity, and they doing big things right now. They're really doing a lot, and you know, I'll say that too, that this is a great time to be alive. That there is so much going on that I see in Cincinnati that is so amazing that
I have seen a lot of positive things
you
lately
know, and I don't
coming
remember
from the
seeing
city.
that
Yeah.
kind of stuff growing up,
No, no,
and
not at
and
all.
maybe I'm involved with it to a
Hmm.
certain extent. But like Vader's doing this Stereo 23 last year and Stereo 24. It was like 50
Hmm.
DJs DJing all down there along the
Is
Ohio
that the
River.
Sawyer Point thing?
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that. How was that this year?
That was also amazing. Just that just a big old festival. And I'm just in awe of that, where you have 50 DJs
Hmm.
playing all day long. I think we started at 10 and might have went until 10. And there were
Okay.
various stages. They had about half a dozen stages. There was a skating rink, there was the main stage with P&G Pavilion, there was the tunnel stage, there was a pickleball stage, all
Hmm.
these different stages where you had ongoing music
Different
and
DJs spinning in
different
it,
DJs.
locations.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just a whole big old DJ festival. And that they've also got a movement called Skate Downtown Cincinnati, which is not
Hmm.
necessarily similar, but I bring that up because that's a movement that's going on in Cincinnati where they're trying to get the outdoor skating rink down there at
Hmm.
Sawyer Point, get that back in action. They're trying to put a roof on it. They're going to try to put a new sound system down there and just get people skating again.
Hmm.
And what I noticed is that I got a friend up in Naptown, and I noticed they were kind of doing the same thing.
Hmm.
Come to find out, they came to visit Cincinnati,
Hmm.
saw what we were doing here, and then they took it up to Naptown,
Okay.
Indianapolis. And in that same spirit, we had Vader had the Stereo 23 DJ festival here, and
Hmm.
then Naptown had the Indie DJ festival up there. And
Mm.
it's just, and we're talking about trying to do a collabo, and
That's
it's
nice, man.
amazing.
It's positive,
Yeah,
real
yeah.
positive stuff.
And I
Real
haven't seen
positive stuff.
that. I haven't seen that in the past, but it's happening now.
That's amazing, man. I
Yeah,
love to hear positive stuff because
yeah, man.
I noticed that too in the hip hop scene with the new generation of kids that are performing for the city with the I guess it's called the Blink Festival or something like that or
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
and then they're
think we got that.
doing a lot more stuff on the square. A lot of the younger hip hop artists are
Mm-hmm.
kind of tapping in. I'm hearing them a lot of information about MRC, Music Resource
Oh,
Center,
yeah,
and
yeah.
a
That's a nice
lot of
little
the
spot.
kids are teaching the younger kids about hip hop and teaching the kids about. I guess they're teaching about the business as well. Teach them
Mm-hmm.
how to learn and try to have a positive impact, keeping the kids off the street and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
we didn't have anything like that back in the '90s, where
yeah.
we had communal support with funding, where
Mm-hmm.
we could help each other and help the younger generation. So I do like that. I have seen a lot of that, and I've heard from a couple of the artists that are doing that. How
Mm-hmm.
do you relate what you see now in the city in terms of the hip hop community versus the '90s, for example, from what
Well,
you see?
yeah, from what I see, I'm a little out of touch,
Hmm.
but I can say that a lot of times it's seemingly easier to be a part of the entertainment industry.
Hmm.
Um, I mentioned before the price of admission. For me, it was a $20 turntable,
Gotcha.
and now it's just a smartphone, seemingly
Yeah.
that people are accessing social media and able to get whatever it is that whatever their message is, whatever their music is, whatever their entertainment is, they're able to get it out quickly on Instagram and TikTok and everything else with low cost. So you got a whole lot of low cost marketing and advertising that folks
Hmm.
can do, and I see that as as a plus in some ways, and I don't know if that trickles down to the local market or the
Hmm.
local, like the local venue. Is somebody
Gotcha.
a star on TikTok? Does that mean they can hop on stage downtown and be
Right.
recognized?
It doesn't always translate.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think it always translates in that fashion. What has been some events that you've done other than the one we just talked about, the DJ festival that you've been involved in recently?
Well, I had been trying to do a similar kind of thing, but it was indoors
Hmm.
instead of outdoors, which was
Hmm.
we tried to do a Christmas party. We got an ice storm came. Then we did a
Hmm.
summer out of school party, um, with same kind of thing, multiple DJs spinning.
Hmm.
Um, that and some of the skating rink stuff is also just taking off, man. It just they do these
Hmm.
pop-up skating rinks. They got this weird temporary skating floor. It's
Hmm.
almost like it's like honeycomb, like if you look down
Okay,
on it, it's like little honeycomb shape. And then we
gotcha.
skate on it, it has a certain
Probably like
texture.
those great pads that you find in factories, maybe something like that.
Yeah, 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 kind of like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then so they'll block off a whole street, a city block between,
Hmm.
two streets or whatever, and set up a booth, a DJ booth on one end, and then people just come and skate.
So
So
skating's making
they're
a comeback.
yeah, yeah, that is, and we got the guy here, Dylan Morton, that skated in the Super Bowl.
Not familiar. I got to
Yeah,
look
he's
at
a
him.
young guy, man, and
Hmm.
he's on tour. He's all over the world
Hmm.
skating,
I got to
and
check
so
him out.
yeah, skating is
Says
really making a comeback.
Dylan Morton.
Yes,
I got to
and
look
he
him
actually
up.
just made his debut this past Saturday,
Okay.
um, DJing.
Huh.
And I was like, wait a minute, you man, come on, you
You
taking over, man. What you doing?
you trying to take my job, yo?
Yeah. But
What
he,
was
he's doing good things. So it's I promise, man, there's so much this is coming out of Cincinnati that
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, we had Jabri, the
The
wise
wise
one,
one? Shout out to
and
Jabri, the wise one.
yeah, and some other acts and groups that may have come out as K
Yeah.
Riley,
K. Riley,
you
Three from
know.
the Soul.
Oh yeah, so much that came out, from back then, but now, maybe it's on the come up because seemingly more and more folks or more and more things are happening.
Hmm.
At least, it's a
Okay.
good time, good feeling up here.
Good, good, good. So, how active are you now with actually spinning records?
Well, I just did a little party. What day is this? Was that yesterday?
Mhm.
Yesterday or Wednesday. I'm fairly active. I do something every now and then, a couple
Mhm.
times a month at least. I got an event coming up on the 20th. I still do wedding receptions. I do a lot of stuff like that. Wedding receptions, 50th birthday parties, stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not actively in the club,
Right.
but um if anything, I've been thinking about a session. There's a rink that wants me to come and spin, a roller rink.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and I skate too. So that's kind of a combination
Perfect for you then. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
not necessarily a R. Kelly and Jay-Z best of both worlds situation, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about like I mentioned earlier, I met you. I know I can't remember exactly what the event was, but I know that you're involved in the community heavy. Tell me a little bit about your work.
Well, for the most part, I have tried to get involved with a lot of these different festivals, and I mentioned the Day and Eden Festival, the Juneteenth Festival, and the Black Family Union celebration. And in some ways, I may be slowing down a little bit, just older, tired, and
Right.
sometimes, shaking your fist,
Cursing the guys.
man, I get tired of shaking my fist.
Right.
And I try to be maybe more of a foundation, more of a
Hmm.
mentor of sorts.
Yes, yes.
And as an example, I was just talking to a guy last night, and I was just trying to give him some insight. And I think that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of doing the
I
one-on-one
feel you.
mentoring.
I'm doing the same thing. I feel you on that.
Dig that. And
Yeah.
what happened, and this is no real disrespect to anybody, and I won't necessarily name names, but there was an
Hmm.
event a while ago, and it was two DJs on the event, and
Hmm.
one of the DJs was the only one that had the microphone. And so later the next day, and it was an older guy versus a younger guy, and the older guy had the microphone.
Okay.
So I kind of inboxed the younger guys like, hey man, good job last night, but hey, make sure that if you got a story to tell, that you're the one telling it. Be
Right.
careful about who you let provide the narrative
Create the
for
narrative.
you.
Exactly.
Right. And it was kind of cryptic, right? You know,
Mhm.
but I didn't want to approach him that night because I didn't want to disturb the peace.
Right.
If they got a rhythm going, have at it. But then when I saw him, I took him aside, and I just mentioned that, like, that other person that had the microphone, they said just whatever they wanted to say, whether you like it or not, it could potentially reflect on your performance.
Correct.
And if you're Jazzy Jeff and you got the Fresh Prince out there, okay,
you guys are talking the same talk.
right? Yeah. But if you got somebody else that's your potential competition, and that may just not be saying the same things that you're saying, and you're separated by decades, you just may need to control your narrative.
Just
and
pay attention.
I know he's a little shy on the mic, but I just wanted to give him that feedback and push him to be more of himself, so that he stands out and he's not in the shadow of somebody else.
To be more assertive.
Yeah, most definitely.
Not rude, but assertive.
Yeah. Write your own story.
100%. Everybody needs to write their own story. Everybody's too busy telling rumors and lies about everybody else. You know what I mean? So,
man, yeah.
Tell me, I read something on your website, and it was something about the Guinness Book of World Records.
Oh yeah. So
so
I did mention that at home I got the gold record, I got the platinum record. All that came from '88, and I also have a Guinness Book World Record, and that came from the largest crowd recorded ever to do the wobble.
Okay.
And as obscure as that might seem, it was a world record. I don't know
exactly how many people was it.
Oh man, see why you do that? Why you do that?
I gotta know, man. I never heard this before a couple of days ago.
Oh man, wait a minute. I want to say it was about, oh, there it is. 2,241.
Damn. This took place in Cincinnati?
Yep. And it was back in 2014.
What was the location?
It was right on the downtown. We got Washington Park.
Okay.
So it was on the north side of Washington Park, which, if I'm right, that's Elm and Race, maybe.
Yeah. If I remember correct, yeah.
And they blocked those streets off. So whatever street that is, which might have been 13th Street, we blocked that whole block off and put one of those turnstiles and a clicker, so you count the people that come in, start to wobble, make sure everybody's doing the wobble dance. There was an officiator there, and we made it happen.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. So
dig that. Guinness Book of World Record holder on here today.
Yeah. And you can say it, but then if you go to Guinness and pay them $20, they'll send you the certificate. So I paid my $20. I'm like, I want that.
No doubt. I would have to as well, man.
Yeah, man.
That's great, man. That's dope. I can say I talked to a Guinness World Record holder. All right. I got bragging rights now. Not only is I'm friends with the DJ, but he holds a Guinness Book World Record. You dig? Right. I also read something about what is it? The Closing the Health Gap, Center for Closing the Health Gap.
Yeah, that's an event that it's not necessarily similar to the Black Family Reunion, but they hold it. That's actually where the Guinness Book World Record happened.
Oh, okay.
And it's a thing that happens every year. Center for Closing the Health Gap has this health expo, and it's really an important piece because they offer free health screenings. They check your blood pressure. There's a whole lot of health related things that happen at the health expo, and that with Black men out here having some challenges, and it doesn't have to be race related, but a lot of times it seems like Black men are more reluctant
to go to the doctor.
Studies have shown right, that Black men are more reluctant to go to the doctor, but when the doctor's right there and it's free and you can get that health screening and print it out and tell you, where your problem areas are, or areas
Hmm.
of improvement that can just be helpful. And it's been a wonderful thing. And the nice thing about it is that the person that has been in charge of it was the person in charge of the Black Family Reunion celebration.
Okay.
So I already had that rapport with her for 25 years. She ran that thing, and then she switched
Hmm.
up, and she's now over at the Health Expo. So I got a nice rapport with her to be able to
Hmm.
interact, and I get down there and run the sound for the various, or at least for the
Events.
moving and grooving, for the moving
Okay.
and grooving pavilion. But
Okay.
it's a real nice event, and it's like I said, it's more than race. It's just about being healthy.
It is about being healthy. I will say this as a Black man, I'm concerned about Black men. But
Dig that.
my
Yeah.
my listeners are a wide range of everybody around the world. I've spent time building up a fan base that they know where I'm coming from. But I
Mm-mm.
would just go on record and say again, our Black brothers, we need to go to the doctor. You
Yeah.
need to get yourself checked up. You don't need
Yep.
to wait for an emergency room visit.
Right.
You need to get yourself checked out.
No
You need to
doubt.
be healthy for your family. You need to be healthy for your wife or your lady or your whatever, your family, your kids, your grandkids. Be healthy. They need us. They need
That's
us.
right. That's right. If you're
Um,
still here, then God still got a plan for you. And you, you
100%.
you may not recognize what that plan is, and it may not come out till next year. But if you ain't here, you
Hmm.
can't fulfill that mission.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
100%. Amen
Yep.
on that. Tell me a little bit about your perception of, like, I guess, artists in the local R&B hip hop rap scene in Cincinnati, Ohio.
I think it's good. I think that there are venues available, even though they just tore down the Mad Frog. That was a
Yeah,
oh
man.
man,
I saw the vacancy when I was there, bro.
man. That's
I saw the empty
yeah.
plot of land.
Yeah. The Mad Frog was a staple of the local music scene diet. But it seems like that there are, like I said before, a lot of folks that are easily able to burst upon the scene with the low price of admission, low cost of
Mhm.
admission,
Yeah.
and it seems like venues are seemingly receptive. That because it always seems like something's going on. I constantly see some kind of
Mhm.
flyer about
Yeah.
some new new venue or new show that they're having.
Uh-huh.
They got a whole host of people on the show, so
Right.
it seems to be healthy. I don't know if I'm able to pull out any names that I necessarily recognize, but like Tribe, who is that? Is that Siri Amani?
Oh, Siriamani. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She does her thing with her tribe,
Uh-huh.
and I've seen that in person, and it is
Yeah.
inspiring.
Yeah, I've seen at least a couple of their performances live, and I see
Hmm.
their activity on social media.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think they're making a significant impact. Those kids are the kind of the kids that I'm seeing where they're getting access to stuff that we didn't have. It
mm-hmm.
seems that the city is more willing to work with them than they were willing to work with the artists back in the 90s. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like their music. Syria Money, I like her music. There's a couple other artists I could think of that run around with that same crew, like Devin Burgess. Um, it's a few others that escape my mind right now,
Yeah,
but I see a lot of good potential, and what I also see is community within them. They don't have that
yeah, yeah,
same adverse and competitive or negative competitive spirit that a lot of the artists had back in the 90s.
yeah.
It
You,
was, they seem to be more working together to actually
mm-hmm.
push each other forward. I don't see them infighting with each other, kind of how we had our this is that crew, that's your crew, we don't
Mm,
make,
yeah,
and so I like to see that. I like to see more unity amongst those creative kids that I've been seeing personally. Whenever I'm in town, I do try to catch something that's going on just to see how they're doing. And I always feel good when I check them out. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's a different feeling.
Most there. And I went to a show, one of the places, one of the venues that seemed to be real receptive and has some kind of fluid entertainment kind of vibe going on. Is
Hmm.
Revel Winery
Okay.
downtown,
I've not
and
heard of it.
it's a real nice spot. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that big, but it's a winery, but it's got this upstairs area. And I remember being there and Siri Armani was there performing, but the backbone or the organization behind that event was a really nice, I forgot the name of it, but it was a little tight-knit organization, and they gave me a little card, and they was giving away like little weird stuff. Like they had not weird, not that the CD is weird,
Right.
but they was giving away CDs and just the little stuff they were doing. I was amazed. They were selling t-shirts, but they didn't have the t-shirts there. They just had an iPad, and you just fill out your thing
and they get shipped to you.
and get shipped direct shipment, and I mean, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
As I know that kind of thing exists, but it was just interesting to see it right there on the spot. They had a couple samples, and I'm like, wow, that's genius. Like
it is.
Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is. Like they're being much more resourceful than I remember a lot of artists back then being. And that's what I mean. It's like they're using the technology in the right ways. They're actually understanding what it takes to market and the content that they're creating and stuff like that. And I'm seeing, like, I know a couple of artists that I heard from Cincinnati. They got some really good international attention, which is what I always focus on with the artists I work on. And I'm hearing their names from people that I'm talking to overseas. And it's a kid from Cincinnati. So I think that's pretty dope.
Well, speaking of when I was talking about like them selling them t-shirts, I just saw a story, man. There was a inspiring story of some used to be Christian rapper called D-Mob.
Not familiar.
Yeah, he's behind Good Company. Donnie D-Mob Harper.
Is that the Good Clothing Company that I see the logo? Okay.
Yeah. And he just testified, man, that he went to he has his own clothing line, and he wears exclusively his own clothing line.
Yeah.
And he talked about how he went to a comedy show of one of his favorite comedians, and that when he went to that show, somebody just shouted him out in the audience. Hey, he got his own clothing line. He rapped too. And so the comedian said, well, come up after this set and rap.
Right.
And that he went up there, and not only did he perform, but he said that because he had on his own clothing line, that he could say, I have my own clothing line, and I'm wearing it right now.
Yeah.
And and able to promote that to that different audience was just being on time. You ain't got to get ready because you stay ready.
Exactly. Yeah. Me and my wife have our own clothing line as well. Oh, I wear my own gear everywhere. And that's in addition to the merchandise I sell for the artists and stuff that I work with, but we have a legitimate fitness line.
Right. So I'm wearing an Ovations t-shirt. I don't have my own clothing line. Maybe I should. I don't know. But I got this Ovations t-shirt, and my friend of mine, Hayward Thompson, comedian Hayward J. Thompson, known from Netflix specials and Paramount Plus specials, or anyway, radio and TV.
Right.
And entertainment, has a little company called Ovations Entertainment. I shouldn't say little company, has a company called Ovations Entertainment. And here lately, they've been doing monthly shows the last Friday in each month down at a place called Radio Artifact, which when and if the next time you come up here, I keep promoting Cincinnati, like you might say, you know what, I might move back. Not that you would, just saying.
Well, no, I still have a place in Cincinnati.
Okay.
I still have a place. I've actually been to Radio Artifact, but continue.
Oh, okay, right. So, so for those who are unfamiliar, man, Radio Artifact is like the truth, man. Like I'm
it's
not
a good
sure.
environment.
I'm not sure of your experience, but that has been one of, if not the best place that I've DJ'd at.
Yeah, it's a cool vibe what they did over there.
Man, it's a whole production studio hiding under the church. And so they get down, they record the sessions, and they'll have the recorded content like before we even leave the venue. They're like, here you go. Or send you a link. Here you go. It's all here's it.
That's dope. I like that.
I'm like, man, them guys, they 2 thumbs up for that. Man.
That is dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say in your career as a DJ and just who you are, a man about town? What have been some of the challenges you faced in doing your job, in making the impact on the community that you have made?
So I'll say some of the little things that have been personally rewarding. I'll mention that. Which one time I did a class reunion for a class. I think it was 1975. Might have been the graduating class. It
Mhm.
could have been 76. But at that time, I think maybe the number one song was the theme from SWAT.
Okay.
And so they're all mulling around or whatever, dancing a little bit here and there. But
Mhm.
then I played the theme from SWAT,
Mhm.
and there was a gentleman there that was disabled, and
Mhm.
he was in a wheelchair, and he was like, he had the look on his face like, "That's my jam," and he just rolled himself out there on the dance floor and just
Oh, wow.
stood up and just man, it wasn't a dry eye in the house, you
Oh,
know.
wow.
Um,
Wow.
but as far as challenges, some of the time and working at the Black Family Union, the Young Adults Pavilion, early
Mhm.
on, we would do things like we would have a safe sex game show
Mhm.
where you had to answer questions about safe sex, and
Mhm.
we'd give out condoms or whatever, or and not that necessarily sex was the main thing down there, but that was just one of the
Right.
segments.
Right.
And I remember we had radio talk down there. We had some radio DJs and
Mhm.
different promoters come down, and the audience could ask them questions. And we tried to do a lot of things that were edutaining,
Mhm.
but one of the challenges was just that sometimes people wouldn't show up.
Mhm.
There would be some real dynamic content
Mhm.
happening right there live, and they're down in the park somewhere.
Mhm.
And so one of the things we we would do is we just whatever the hot song was, we just turn up the speakers and play that hot song, and then
And then they come back.
they
Oh, wow.
come running.
Mhm.
They come running, but when they done ran and sat down, okay, well you tired now. We got you, and we
Right.
and tell them, look, we just want to let you know that we got this content for you, and the only thing that brought you back was the music. We need to be aware of these kinds of things that
Yeah.
happen. That it's not always about gyrations of the hips. That a
Yes.
lot of times it can be stimulation of the mind.
Correct.
And when you talk about the challenge, that was one of the challenges was going from WAIF to WIZF.
Mhm.
WAIF 88.3 FM in Cincinnati, what radio is meant to be. Like you said, in some ways that it, it is that what radio is meant to be.
Yeah,
You
it
are
was
you you
communal. Yeah.
you are your program director, your music director, your board op. You are everything, and it
Yeah.
is what you make it. And
Mhm.
so when I felt like I was cultivating something, and I think I interviewed over at the Wiz 8 times because I just
Mhm.
wanted to get paid. Like yeah, I'm
Right.
doing this, but I want to
Mhm.
get paid for it. And when I went over there, they told me that I couldn't do my show on WAIF anymore.
Mhm.
And, that kind of hurt, but I guess I understood.
Mhm.
But I remember my last show, I cried. I cried on the air
At
because
88.3?
yes, at 88.3, I
Mhm.
cried on the air because I felt like I was leaving whatever tight knit community that we had there. It
Mhm.
was a tight knit group of lions.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
felt like I was
Dig
going to the
that.
bigger organization and have a bigger
Mhm.
audience. And I'm not trying to disrespect the community, but it was a bigger audience of lambs,
Ah.
sheep.
Yeah.
And so it is often difficult for me when I think about what happens on commercial radio, because maybe I'm a visionary, or maybe I'm an idealist, or maybe I'm a
All of the
hopeless
above.
a hopeless romantic, all of
All of
that
the
that
above.
that I used to think of maybe just teaching college courses on radio,
Hmm.
because I kind of believe in the magic. And at that time, I believe in the magic of radio, that you could be at the DMV, you could
Mm.
be in your car, you could be in your shower, and wherever you are, that radio frequency, that station could tie us all together
Right.
listening.
Right.
And StoryCorps has something like that. They say that's the greatest gift that you can give is the gift of listening. But
Okay. Okay.
but I thought about that, like you're listening, and that there are opportunities to not just shove entertainment in your ear,
Hmm.
but shove education in your brain.
Information, as you said earlier,
Yeah. Yeah.
edutain, infotain,
Man,
edutain. Yeah.
I used to come up with those ideas and they say, you know what? You might want to take your ideas to another station. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. I went over there, went from community radio to commercial radio, and that was a
Hmm.
challenge that they said not only can you not do your shift over there at the other station, we don't want you to use your name because it would tarnish the image of our radio station.
Wow.
I was like, I was like,
Damn.
so you saying that I've been doing damage down there?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why y'all
I've been
want me
doing
anyway.
damage,
Yeah.
and you
That's
just
why they
need to
want you.
shut me down, you know?
Say they wanted you to not use your own name.
Yeah, yeah. And so for a
What?
while, I became Tony Fowler. Tony Fowler, and it's a few people that know, you know what I mean, that listen, that
Hold
knew
up,
he
hold
had
up,
that.
hold up.
Yeah,
Hold up. On the Wiz, you were Tony Fowler?
Tony Fowler. Yeah, yeah. And
What year was that?
that had to be like 94. Like 94.
I did not know that, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I had no idea.
yeah,
Yeah, but I didn't really listen to the radio a lot back
yeah,
then. But
yeah.
wow, hell no. Oh
But then
man.
when they finally got another,
Oh man.
they got another program director or
Uh-huh.
program director or music director, and they say, hey, what can I do for you?
Right.
And I said, let me use my own name.
Mm.
And they said, okay, but you know what? Let me back up. Before I came up with that Tony Fowler, I was sitting there, which I don't know if you recognize the name, Freddie Red.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'm sitting there and I'm kind of venting like, yeah, man, I can't use my name, and yeah, blah blah blah. I don't know. They didn't want me to use Moses. Not that it matters, but Moses is my son's middle name. I'm thinking, well, if I can't promote myself, maybe I can promote somebody, right?
Mhm.
And so they said, well, no, you can't use Moses because that's like blasphemy. I'm like,
Not really.
if that's my name, how am I
Right.
blaspheming? Well, if you play bump and grind and then you say you're Moses, I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm brainstorming and I'm sitting in there with Freddie
Mhm.
Red, and I'm like, and he's like, well, what's your? I was like, well, maybe I could use my middle name. He said, well, what's your middle name? My middle name is Caesar.
Mhm.
It's like Caesar. I said, yeah. He said, that's an odd name or whatever he said. And it's like, yeah. And I told him, yeah, I was named after the doctor that delivered me. My
Mhm.
parents didn't want it to be my first name, but they gave it to me as my middle name.
Mhm.
He said, the the doctor that delivered you. I said, yeah. His first name is Caesar. Well, that's my dad.
Wow.
So Freddie Red's father is Dr. Caesar Bassett, the first
Okay.
black gynecologist and Tuskegee Airman to set up shop here in the city of Cincinnati.
Wow.
And he delivered so many people around the area. Dr. Caesar Bassett. He didn't pass away, so may he rest in peace. So now I
Rest in
got
peace.
I got a I got a brother,
Okay.
Freddie Red,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a sister, Cherie
That's
Bassett.
wild, man. That's wild.
Yeah.
Small world, man.
Yeah.
Small
Oh,
world.
yeah. Real small world.
Yeah. It's funny how the generational lines intersect like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope. What else do you think? Because you kind of answered my stuff. What else would you like to talk about that maybe you think the people should be knowing about, concerned about, anything or anything you want to promote?
Well, I'll be cautious and yeah, I'll be cautious with this topic that I've already mentioned, and I want to be cautious with it. So it's the
Okay.
Black Family Reunion Celebration.
Hmm.
The Midwestern Regional Black Family Reunion Celebration is the full name that it originally came with. As I
Hmm.
mentioned, I've been involved with the Young Adults Pavilion since its inception, since the beginning. I'm no longer a young adult. I do have tribal knowledge though,
Hmm.
and I have a foundation of sound equipment and the knowledge of how things run and work. But I personally believe that if it's a young adults pavilion, kind of like FUBU, for us, by us, that maybe young adults should be part of that planning committee and determine what kind of things do they want to see on the stage.
Right.
And what kind of, in the same way that we, and I was in my 20s, so I'm a young adult.
Yeah.
And I'm creeping up, and I done grew up out of it because, like I say, on my next birthday, I'll be 60.
Okay.
But I remember a time where I'm kind of reaching, and there was a question about who could they bring to perform.
Right.
And this might have been 10 years ago. Well, 5 or 10 years ago. I brought up 2 names.
Gotcha.
I said Afro, All Flows Reach Out. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Not familiar.
Okay.
I'll check him out though.
Yeah, All Flows Reach Out, Afro. Okay. And at that time, he's a young dude. He's still a young dude. I saw him on Jimmy Fallon. He did this thing called Box of Freestyle. Jimmy Fallon brought out just a box of random objects and pulled them out and dude would freestyle about them.
Oh, okay.
And he was a young dude, and according to him, he was just a kind of little social awkward, stayed in the house, read the dictionary, and got the heightened sense of vocabulary and rhyme time, be able to spit fire at any given moment. So I mentioned him. I mentioned, hey, how about Afro? And then I also mentioned D1.
I know D1.
Okay, right. So for those who don't, D1, 8th grade school teacher, one of his students got shot, and he felt inspired, wrote some rhymes, and he has just kind of elevated throughout the industry as a clean Christian rapper.
Correct.
So and at that time, both of them were still kind of young. However old they are now, they were 5 years younger 5 years ago. And I mentioned them. And no disrespect to the artists that they picked, but they just said, nah, we don't know them, and just cast them off. And I was like, okay, well, there's value in. And so they picked Lantana.
Local
and
artist.
I mean, Lantana's cool. He's from round the way. He's from Lantana.
Right.
And but his hit song is All Hustle No Luck, and that's not necessarily in any. If anything, I thought he should have been on the main stage. And then again, Young Adults Pavilion. One of the things that they brought was Lando's Old School Happy Hour, and to me, I felt like, well, it's in the name. Young Adult Pavilion. Lando's Old School Happy Hour. There's a juxtaposition there. There's
exactly
that weird odds.
Mm-hmm.
And then the national artist that they brought to the Young Adults Pavilion was Sunshine Anderson.
I remember her. Yeah.
So, and this might have been 2021 when this happened, but her number one hit, Heard It All Before.
Heard It All Before. Yeah. Was produced by Mike City. Yeah.
Okay. Was 2001. So it was 20 years prior.
Right.
And I didn't understand. And this is no disrespect to anyone in the planning committee or wherever, because I am not part of that. But I'm just not understanding where this trickle down economics is coming from. And I really feel like there should be an influx of young people making these decisions, or at least being at the table. And I don't know if they are, but I think that they should be. If 100%. They are, I don't see the evidence of that. And I'm happy to keep working until they get tired of me. But I think.
Do you think they're just out of touch, or
I don't know? I don't know, and I don't. And even if I did, I don't know if I would want to speak on it.
Gotcha.
And I, like I said, I'll keep working until they throw me out of there, until they get tired of me. But it is definitely not about me. In my opinion, it is about the event. How can we make this event successful? Because every time I talk to somebody, they're, oh yeah, we used to go to the Black Family. Oh, I remember back when. Yeah. And it's always that, and it's not like, oh, I'm excited to go.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had, and I can't take credit for this in its entirety at all. David Bright, DJ Rude. That there was a point where I was chairman of the Young Adults Pavilion. I passed it down to David Bright, and there were other people involved. And what they started was a process of auditions. Well, we always had auditions, but they kind of fine-tuned it.
Right.
So to break it down, first 2 weeks of June, public service announcement. You let people know that the last 2 weeks of June are going to be auditions for the upcoming Black Family Reunion in August.
Right. Okay.
So my thought, in the first weekend of June, or the first 2 weeks of June, folks just getting out of school or whatever, it's the beginning of the summer. You are alerting them that something is coming up at the end of the summer, and the Black Family Reunion is going to be back. So you hit the market running with your advertisements, your PSA, your public service announcement, all that. And then when the people come for those 2 auditions, and at times it was up to 150 entries. So those 2 weeks happened. Then you got little Pookie and them, mama, I auditioned for the, so you got this instant 150 family street team that's running out to go tell their friends and family that they just auditioned for the Black Family Reunion and they might be in it. And so you can ride that wave for a while.
Right.
And then we would record it, review it, and then you'd make the phone calls. And in addition to that, we're gathering all this information. We're telling them ahead of time, like, look, no twerking, no this is a family show. You're planting the seed of goodness ahead of time to let them know. So we have no surprises. Right. Also, they've auditioned. So you have an idea of what's coming.
Correct.
So then you got the phone calls that you make. And that happens, since all this stuff happened in June, the phone calls happen in July.
Got it.
And the people get excited. And they often running more excited street team. But all of that was relatively inexpensive to do. If I remember, I think there was a $200 rental fee, $100 per week for the West End YMCA is where it used to be.
The auditions?
Yes.
Okay.
West End YMCA. And it was there for years.
Okay.
And for some reason, after the new management came in, they just decided not to do auditions. And I just find that a little challenging. And I don't quite understand that, in my opinion, we have a well-oiled working machine, turnkey operation. Here you go.
So they're just blindly booking talent?
I can't speak on that. But I'm just not sure that sometimes when we turn on the mic, we're not sure what we're going to get.
That's not good.
Not
for a family event. That's not good.
And I don't want to necessarily speak negatively of it, because it's still a wonderful event. There's a whole lot going on, and maybe the perception is I have already spoken negatively of it. I don't mean that. If I am criticizing or critiquing, I am coming from a place of love, because I love what the event has done for me and for the community. I should probably just take me out of that. I love what the event has done for the community over the decades. Yeah. And I would like to see that continue. And so whatever's, there's a website, myblackfamilyreunion.org. There's options there to volunteer and be a part. And I would encourage anyone and everyone who has a chance to listen and absorb this message and consume this content. If you're in the Cincinnati, Ohio area, and if you're going to be here in and or around the third weekend of August 2024 and beyond, go to myblackfamilyreunion.org, find the link to volunteer and to be a part, help build the message that is being broadcast to the community.
We will add that link in the comments of this, so it'll appear on the YouTube channel, it'll appear on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, all of the podcasts. I'll put the link in there and put all your links in there.
I expect nothing less from Power Blast Worldwide.
Hey, that's right. Shout out to iHeartRadio.
Man.
Yeah, yes.
I promise, man. Listen, as far as you, I've heard, I know you, and in the same spirit that you talked about how we bumped into each other at some event.
Right.
I was at them events, and that sounds typical. I don't fair warning. I don't remember that interaction, but I remember the interactions constantly with you and ML. Y'all would just like slide up like Power Blast.
Yeah. I knew you wouldn't remember that first meeting.
Wait,
I don't
wait,
think you did. I don't think
wait a
you.
minute, because it would have. Correct me if I'm wrong. It would have been bomb threat.
Yes, it was bomb threat.
Bomb
Yeah,
threat, right? And
yeah,
then y'all had to make a change because,
yeah.
like everybody did,
Yeah,
Secret
yeah,
Service had to change the Secret Service is the repair shop around here. They had to change their name
yeah, man. Yeah,
after
yeah,
9/11. Everything went
yeah.
down.
Everything went crazy back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. We're moving, man. Been through a lot, been through a whole lot.
Hey.
I don't know. You want to interview me now?
Well, hey. I just wanted to make mention
Yeah.
that that from knowing you
Hmm.
from knowing ML, from bumping
Yeah.
into him just randomly at Kroger's,
Right.
the other day, and just we have been on a similar path. We may not
Hmm.
have been in the same vehicle.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like entertainment here in Cincinnati, how it
Yeah.
works or whatever, you kind of know. Oh, I know.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, they doing that over there. I'm not
Right.
sure, but yeah. Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
of like that from afar.
Exactly.
But listening to the most recent thing that I heard from you, the two things over there at Destroy All Podcasts. Shout out to them.
Shout out to Destroy Our Podcast 513.
And I heard where you was talking about, yeah, I got to start a podcast. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
the seeds are being planted. And I don't know if that they necessarily planted the seed because you
No,
Johnny,
I was already working on it anyway.
yeah, Johnny
But
Appleseed, you planting all
that
kinds of seeds.
that just kind of sparked the immediacy of the flame. It was in the planning stages.
Yes,
Um,
sir. Yes, sir.
uh,
I heard that.
yeah.
And not to tap into it other than because I don't want to bring up no. But anyway,
No,
just
do it, man. Do it.
just no, sir. No, sir.
Do
I'm
it.
just saying that the information that you provided on there was just so thorough and inspiring, and the energy that you come with it was, it's like, let me just spread this out for you. Let me
Yeah.
give you this, spread these lyrical dishes in your bushes. Whatever
Yeah.
you was doing, it was
Yeah.
just it was free flowing. And if anybody out there has a chance, should definitely tune in to Destroy All Podcasts, especially the
Definitely.
episode with Gino Black, because it was very, very thorough and informative. And I guess in the same kind of lane that Chris Paul's original post
Mhm.
for the Midwestern Disc Jockey Coalition, the
Okay.
origin of that, of how sometimes folks work together or don't work together.
Correct.
And or the little example where I just gave, let me move to the side where I said, oh yeah, they over there. I see them over there. Yeah, they doing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you hinted to, that some of the artists of today
Mhm.
they seem to have a different kind of camaraderie
They do.
versus back in our time. There was not necessarily camaraderie, maybe with some, but it also seemed like that there was animosity.
There was extreme animosity, envy, and jealousy.
Yeah.
And those are emotions that I don't have. I don't understand those emotions.
Man.
I experience them. They are projected upon me, but I've never been jealous or envious of anybody. If anything, I've been a seeker of knowledge. Like I mentioned on the podcast, I had two uncles who mentored me, and they unknowingly mentored me, but I watched everything that they did to learn to be the man that I am. And essentially, when I see somebody that has something that I want, or is at a level that I want to be at, or a status, or whatever it is, and not necessarily material possessions, but just in position, I don't hate on them. I converse with them to gain the knowledge,
Right.
find out how they got it, and what
Yeah.
steps they took. I've always fancied myself to be a seeker of knowledge. And just like you said about your time on WIZF FM, when you're trying to have some fresh ideas, they're trying to shut you down.
Yeah.
That was my problem in the city of Cincinnati, not with my own crew, but with us trying to interface with the other separate little groups or whatever. They didn't want to listen to any new, fresh ideas. And that's why we became more successful than them.
Dig that.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately where we have been here And
Yeah.
hopefully we grow out of this. I was
I think the kids are the excuse me, the younger generation of some of the artists we spoke about earlier. I think they have less of that envy and more of a cultivating, and we're all going to do this together. It seems like they want to be the ones that have Cincinnati have its moment, kind of like Atlanta, kind of like LA, kind of like Seattle got for the grunge movement back in the 90s. They want to put Cincinnati on the map. This most of what I've seen in my time in Cincinnati in the hip hop scene was every man for himself. We don't want to work together. Or if you make East Coast rap, you can't hang out with the guys that make West Coast rap, or you can't do with somebody that makes gangster rap or Southern rap or whatever. We only do this. But I also found that those guys that only wanted to pretend like they were from New York, where are they now? What are they doing now? They're still making the same demo tapes with a basement and garage full of equipment, and have nothing to show for it but day jobs.
Ouch.
Yeah, day jobs.
Man, a hit dog will holler and they'll be in the comment section like,
Gino Black. Yeah, they do it all the time. And I'll say it again for the cheap seats. I started working for myself a long time ago.
Wow.
I haven't punched the clock in I don't know how long.
That's great, man. That's inspirational.
Power Blast is sustainable. Shout out to ML. Yeah, man, we just always tried to be collaborative, and a lot of people didn't want to collaborate with us. I don't know whether, because I didn't really care about, was this group better than ours, or was this MC better than me or one of my guys. My concern was trying to uplift everybody. And because my ideas were so new and radical, because I've always, before even putting together Bomb Threat, I was kind of a loner. I did my solo stuff first, and I've always been the guy. I was that kid also reading the dictionary all the time, like you mentioned about that other young man. So in addition to reading the dictionaries, I was also reading books, every book I could get my hands on. So I was LLC Power Blast Worldwide in 1992.
So that.
Yeah, so we've been going for a while. We got a distribution deal in 99. Took some time off. That's around that time when I left Cincinnati. Took some time off and did some corporate work for a while, and did well in that environment as well. I mean, it's just like you say, certain stuff is just in you. So I move every way. I move with the intent to kind of dominate that field that I was in. So I was in the telecommunications industry for a while on the sales and management level. Raised my family. And that was another thing, man. While we were in the 90s doing all that stuff, running around, doing all those pop-up shows, and we were also traveling too. We were going to other states doing shows. But I was married with kids. And that's why
that's tough.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I was married with kids. And
that's a whole nother job.
That's a whole nother job. And
I
had the recording studio at that time. I did have a full-time job, and I was doing the music stuff. And I'm also trying to help other people. I was managing and signing other artists. So if anybody, and then going back to that thing, and this is my show, so I'll say his name, G Fresh. Going back to that thing, how can I be the negative aspect of the city when I was trying to help people up? I was offering other artists contracts to come under my label to help them advance their careers. That's what I was doing in the 90s. And when I saw people weren't ready to play real ball, I left. And I even offered several people to come with me, because I set up shop in Miami with a full-size loan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting that
is a business loan.
Yeah, I heard that episode. I was
the entertainment business loan.
You know, it's interesting, man. When I did the little gesture where I say, you know, I look over there and I see somebody in the lane, not sure what's going on in that car, but I know them people over there.
Right.
Another little analogy, or sometimes a little story I tell, is that if I'm driving down the street and my passenger window is open, I stop at the light, sitting at the bus stop, I see the devil. The devil's sitting at the bus stop and he got a gas can. I am not making reference to anybody being a devil in this particular story, right?
Gotcha.
So, and the devil, hey, man, you going to the bottom of the hill? Can you help me out?
Right.
My car ran out of gas, and I'm like, okay, hop in, right? in theory, I don't necessarily know who the devil is, right? So we
Right.
drive down to and we get to the bottom of the hill where the gas station
Mhm.
is. He hop out the car like, hey man, hey, thanks a lot, man. And he just fling a $5 bill in the window.
Mhm.
For me, that is my limited experience with the devil.
Right.
And I'm like, well, he was cool, man.
Right.
He gave me $5, he gave me some gas money. Everybody else might be like, no, you don't know, because of the different
Right.
experience that they had.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's unfortunate, man, because I appreciate your kind words that you said about me in the beginning of the show, where you
I
said
meant
that, and I appreciate that.
I meant that, bro. And same thing you said about me. Meant that.
Yes, sir. Same. But I find myself in those kinds of precarious situations where, like, I'm cool
Mhm.
with so and so over here, and I'm cool with so. Oh, but y'all don't. Oh, how could? I
Yeah.
don't know. But you
Yeah.
know, I'll say something else, man. That in this day and time, it seems like maybe that is true when you talk about the camaraderie that is around. A
Mhm.
situation happened. It wasn't really a situation, but on Saturday, this past Saturday, I went downtown to the outdoor skating rink. I seem to
Okay.
keep coming back to skating, but I went down there.
That's your new groove, I guess. Skating? Yeah.
Hey, man, I've been skating since
Don't say since United States of America, Roller World.
before that.
Oh,
Look,
we're
I'll
both
put a
showing our
year.
age now.
I'll put a year on it. So at the time of this recording, which is 2024,
Mhm.
I've been skating since 1975.
Damn.
So
Damn.
but so the dude I was talking about, Dylan Morton, the world class, world traveling young guy,
Right.
he was doing his debut to DJ. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh man. So I'd already kind of knew him, bumped into him, and we cool, and we dap up or whatever. And I said, well, let me go down here and see little dude, whatever, DJing.
Mhm.
And so he's down there, he's doing his thing. I'm like, yeah, go. But sidebar, when I look right in the booth, they had like maybe it could have been about 12 or 14 inches tall,
Mhm.
a Bose speaker that was on a stand, and it
Okay.
was a little weird. I think it was a SP1, maybe. Not that I need to necessarily
Is it a
get the
little sound bar?
uh no, it let me get the model. It may not necessarily be important. Bose S1 Pro Plus portable Bluetooth speaker.
Okay.
So it's about maybe 14 inches high,
Mhm.
12 inches wide. It might have an 8-inch woofer in it.
Mhm.
And that's right by the DJ booth.
Mhm.
Then they had another one, maybe 100 feet away on the other side of the ring.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah, man.
So the sound was like, and I came down there and I was giving my man encouragement, like, hey man, nice to see you DJing. I didn't know you DJ, man. Great. And but I kind of looked around, I was like,
What is going on?
going on? And I don't know, something fell apart. Somebody didn't bring nothing, and that was
Mm.
from the lady's house. I don't know. And so Vader was coming up next.
Mhm.
And so Vader came and he wasn't shy about the look. He was like,
Hmm.
oh man. And he said, I had some speakers sitting by the front door. I walked past them.
Hmm.
I should have brought them. But there was
Damn.
enough time that this whole thing, the camaraderie thing, he was
Mhm.
like, you know what? I'm gonna go back home. I was like, bet. When you
Yeah.
come back, I'll help. And so he came back, and I helped. Hey, let's get it together. We
Yeah.
all
Yeah. Yeah.
we did the thing and got all 4 speakers running.
Mhm.
Didn't really need it, but and not that was necessarily given the sound that it was needed, because I think maybe, but it was 10 times better.
Right. The
It
point
was
is the camaraderie,
right.
the brotherhood, so to speak.
Yep. And we just made it happen. And then when he was leaving, I was telling him, man, and I wanted to start crying because of all of this beauty that I'm seeing that's happening in the city. And it may not be. It may be me looking through rose-colored or old-colored old-colored glasses.
Yeah.
But it does really seem like there's so much more happening, and it's whatever foundation that was laid down by, let's say, Power Blast in the 90s, that folks now are building upon that, taking notes.
I'm glad to hear it.
And doing things from a different perspective, of camaraderie versus animosity.
Yes.
And it's really wonderful to see. There seems like every week there's some new thing. This whole thing they're doing with the 3CDC Friday flow.
Yes,
where they had
that's
these
what I'm hearing
concerts
about.
all the times. Man, they do salsa on the square, reggae. Is it reggae in Washington Park? But they have salsa, reggae. For a while, we was doing line dancing in the park. Just a lot seems to be going on. A lot of activity and entertainment that is it's a little heartwarming. It's overwhelming and heartwarming to see.
I'm glad to hear it, because I've been hearing those things, and when I'm in town, I see signs of those things. So it's looking much more promising.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think we should end that on that high note. The things in the city are looking promising. Unless you had anything else.
I got nothing, man. I'm just happy to be here.
Hey, bro. Thank you for coming on the show. Everybody, again, this is Music Therapy and Motivation with your host, Gino Black. I've had the absolute pleasure of sitting down and chopping it up with DJ Butch Gibson, Mr. Butch Gibson. As I introduced him before, this man has many hats he wears in the community. He is well loved and respected by myself and everybody back home. Appreciate you for coming on the show, brother.
Thank you. The pleasure's all mine, sir.
Thank you, brother. I'll be in touch.
Yes, sir.
I'm floating,
Motivate,
I'm floating on,
elevate,
I'm floating over you, and ain't nothing you can do. I'm floating,
motivate,
I'm floating on,
elevate,
I'm floating over you, and ain't nothing you can do. The more you
First you gotta motivate, then you gotta elevate. Then once you can levitate, then it's time to celebrate. First you gotta motivate, then you gotta elevate. Then once you can levitate, then it's time to celebrate. Now everybody wanna put it on game. How you walk, how you talk, you know the slang. You really should deliver it plain. Cause motherfucker, I know you a lame. Going